Good morning. You're listening to WPVM LP in Asheville, North Carolina, 103.7 on the dial. This is a special edition of the BLAINESWORLD Show, and ordinarily we're heard each Wednesday at 9 a.m., but the special edition now is on WPVM's Facebook page. So if you're watching us, which we hopefully are, you'll be watching us on Facebook Live. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. And what we do is each week we focus on the Asheville theater scene, as well as on positive news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce my two guests today, and they are Al, if I mess up pronunciation, let me know, but it's Al Schlim, is that?
Yeah.
Al Schlim.
You got it.
And Joan Dentremont.
Close.
Close
Joan
enough.
Fremont. That's good.
Okay, Joan Dentremont. And Joan's been a guest on the show before, but this is the first time Al's been on board. And welcome aboard, guys. And you can wave to all your friends in Facebook world. So if you're watching, that's Al and Joan. And what I've asked them to come on board is talk about a special benefit concert they're doing to benefit the folks in Ukraine. And let me just, first of all, start off. When is that concert?
May 27th. So it's a week from this Friday. So May 27th, and it's at 6:30 at the Weaverville Community Center.
Okay. And what gave you the idea for the concert?
Well,
we've done some benefit stuff in the past. Goes back a ways. COVID obviously slowed a lot of things down, but we've been involved in a few benefits over the years, and just a couple, well, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, it kind of just struck us maybe we should be doing something. Watching this news every night is pretty awful, and our hearts go out to the people of Ukraine. And we thought the one thing we know how to do is play some music and do a little organized event like this. So we just talked about it. We pulled in some volunteers from the community, got a great set of volunteers, and it just took off from there. So,
and also, so we won't cite them, but also playing along with you, and I'll let you introduce them. There are 3 other members of this group, and they are who, please, if you want to just introduce them.
that would be Annie Lally and Joe Ebel, another duo, singer-songwriter duo in the area.
Longstanding Asheville singer-songwriter couple. And also Chris Rosser. A lot of people know Chris Rosser. He's a pretty successful singer-songwriter and jazz and world musician in the region. His other band is Free Planet Radio, and Chris just does a great singer-songwriter act. And we're actually in another group with Chris. And both of these, Chris and Annie and Joe, they're the kind of people you just make a call and they're there. They just wanted to come out and help. So
now, have the 5 of you ever performed together all at one time? The 5 of you?
No.
Okay.
Not the 5 of it. Not Annie, Joe, and Chris and us. Chris and Joan and I have a 5-piece group called Tall Tales that you can watch for us. We perform sometimes at the Isis Musical Theater in West Asheville in the upstairs lounge. Annie and Joe pretty much do a solo act. So this is the first time the 5 of us have shared a stage.
We did share a stage with Annie and Joe back at the Manna Benefit, which would have been 2014. Maybe?
Right. I actually take what I said back. We did a benefit for Manna Food Bank 10 years ago, maybe, and there was a concert associated with that. Chris, Annie, and Joe and I were on stage for that, just briefly, one time.
Okay.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Now, I do know I was talking to Joan, I believe, on a show or 2 before, but what I typically like doing when I interview guests for the first time, in your case, Al, is find out a little bit about you. And so the question I ask typically is, you grew up as a kid where?
I grew up in Baltimore, and I'm a fossil, as you can see. So I played my first gig during the Johnson administration. I started really young. I was about 12 years old. I was in my first band at 12 years old, and I played a couple thousand gigs growing up in the Baltimore, Washington area. Toured a little bit in the Mid-Atlantic. At other times in my life, I've lived in Twin Cities and in Los Angeles for a bit. And, gigged around those areas. And I've been here in Asheville area for quite a while. 17 years ago, I moved here. And, I just do some selective gigs and studio recording dates around town. That's kind of my background.
And what kind of music do you play?
You know, in all those years, 55 years or whatever it is, I've played just about everything from commercial music to, to rock and roll, to jazz, to blues, to, some Latin and Brazilian kind of things. I've got a lot of varied interests. I studied classical guitar in college, so it's all over the map. All of that stuff kind of influences what I do. You know, when I work with Joan here, we're a couple, obviously, and Joan has a sweet voice, and we do a lot of singer-songwriter type acoustic things together. So, but you could catch me occasionally. You'll see me around town doing like a jazz date or something like that.
And before you, or in addition to becoming a singer-songwriter, did you do other things also, or was this your primary gig?
Yeah, no, this has been a sideline for a long time. I was a professional up till maybe my late 20s, and then I kind of got into a couple of different careers. I was a marketing research consultant for a lot of years, and for the last 9 years, I've owned an executive recruiting consultancy. I, help place executives in the public transportation industry. So, and I also paint on the side. So I have kind of a busy life. But yeah, I'm still working. I'm hoping to retire sometime in the next couple of years and devote more time back to music and art.
And the two of you, do you write your own stuff also?
I write a little bit. We're going to do a couple originals at the show. I'm not the writer that Chris and Annie and Joe are. I mean, they're going to do probably all originals, and we'll do a few of mine. But yeah, I write occasionally. Again, with my schedule and all that, it's kind of hard to carve out a lot of time to finish work. I have a ton of stuff that's not finished. When I retire, I'll finish all that music.
In your next life, or what I say, Al, I'm not retired. I call it rewired. So
Yeah.
in your rewirement, what you'll be doing in your next life. Joan, I'll ask you the same question too. I knew you when you were with another group. Talk a little bit about your background. As a kid, you grew up where?
I grew up in North Georgia, in Clarksville, Georgia. So it's really the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains there. And I was there until I was out of high school, and then went from Athens to Atlanta, and was in Atlanta for about 15 years before coming to Asheville in 2000.
Now,
I've been here a little while.
When you were a kid, did you know you wanted to be a singer?
I always enjoyed singing. I mean, just, pop radio songs. And when I had my first chance of singing in any group with a church or a community choir, I jumped on it. My real love is harmony. I love singing harmony and harmony groups. And that's my first singing in Asheville was with a group called the Poppies, and we did 60s pop music, which was a lot of fun with two other female singers. And then I did sing with Deep River for 10 years, the country vocal group, which was loads of fun.
Yeah, because that's how I knew you, I think, when I first met you.
That's right, it was through Deep River.
And just
then,
loved your singing with that.
Well, thank you.
And so now, the two of you, how long have the two of you been performing together?
Well, we've been a couple for 14 or 15 years, right? So
feels like forever.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, we pretty much started right from the beginning. In fact, I auditioned for a band Joan was in, and they didn't hire me, but
Can you imagine? My God.
Imagine,
I don't know.
had we probably wouldn't have ever done this.
Probably not. But so anyway, when we got together, shortly, not that long after that, we just, I'm a musician and Joan had been singing, so it was just a natural fit to start trying to work on things together.
Let me ask you, I think off the air, we talked a little bit about the fact that you have a couple of songs I'll ask you to sing today. Why don't you take the first one and I'll kind of let you introduce it, if you would.
Okay, as I mentioned, well, the second song we'll do is an original that I wrote. But this first tune, we try to, we keep an eye out for, or an ear out for emerging songwriters. And there's this young woman that we stumbled onto not long ago called Madison Cunningham. She's a Southern California singer-songwriter, a lovely writer. And
She's very young. She's 21.
she's in her early 20s and shows a lot of incredible promise. So we're going to do a song of hers called When Love Loves Alone.
Okay.
Okay. Good to go?
Yep. Hit it.
wilt unbloom. Sometimes it withers in sunlight. Sometimes love grows where you do. I don't mind, pass me by. Life really gives you a second try. But I'll be here watching from this side. Sometimes love loves alone. Sometimes love comes fast and fleeting. Love can be soft and slow. Sometimes it leaves without warning. Sometimes love waits alone. I don't mind, pass me by. Life may just give you a second try. But I'll be here watching from this side. Sometimes love loves alone. Sometimes love lasts for a moment. Sometimes it stays 100 years. Honey, I've often heard it's never long enough. Sometimes love loves alone. I don't mind, pass me by. I often dream of when you were mine. If you were wondering, I will be fine. Sometimes love, sometimes love loves alone.
Lovely. Question. I mean, that's almost was written for the two of you, it seems like. You know, if ever there was a song, how do you find this person who wrote this?
Madison Cunningham, she's all over YouTube. She has 2 or 3 records out now. She's, you know, any of the streaming services, she's getting a toehold, and you can find a lot of videos on YouTube.
Okay, but just this, like I said, just seems the perfect song for the two of you to be singing. You know, it's just, did you know that, Al, when you heard the song, did you say to yourself, this was something we should sing?
Yeah, I'm on the lookout all the time for songs that work for Joan's voice. And, you know, we have a list of songs we do, but they all get stale after a while. And so there's always a little ear out for something that works for Joan's range and Joan's kind of intimate, vulnerable kind of sound. And when I heard that one, I thought, okay, that'll work. Let's just give it a shot.
Well, good call. Now, this song, will you be singing that one at the benefit?
Sure, we'll be doing that.
Okay, very, very powerful stuff. By the way, I didn't get to mention to folks, but in terms of the background of Al and Joan, Al plays guitar, as you're saying, piano and bass, and along with Joan, who does the vocals, along with Chris Rosser, founding members of the Asheville band Tall Tales. Al graduated from Towson University, where he studied classical and jazz guitar and played in TSU's renowned jazz ensemble. He has gigged and played studio dates, as he mentioned, for more than 50 years. You also started, what, when you were 7 or 8? Was that when you started?
Oh, more like
3?
10 or 11.
Okay, no, we're saying 50 years. It's hard to believe. A handful of U.S. cities, and Joan grew up harmonizing with friends, later performed in large acoustic groups, and was often sought out for her tender and vulnerable vocal contribution to weddings and memorial services. She was a founding member of 1960 tribute band. We would love to have seen that, the Poppies. Longstanding member of country vocal group Deep River. Question, Joan, do you have a type of music you like best?
I do like the sensitive, soulful music. Aside from, I mean, I always grew up R&B, loved R&B. It wasn't until meeting the Deep River group that I was introduced to country, and I've had a lot of fun with that too. But it's the vocal harmonization that really draws me of any type.
Because when I heard you with Deep River, I said, wow, that was, you just really seemed to fit in well with that group and the country music. And the 60s, my era, I don't know if you ever did the Turtles. That was arguably the greatest rock group of all time,
Yes.
the Turtles.
We
But,
did some Turtles, yeah.
I did some Turtles.
Oh, did you really? Okay,
Oh, yeah.
I have to ask about that some other time.
I'm
But
a fossil.
is that okay? Talk then a little bit about, so you came up with the idea that you want to do something for Ukraine. How did that whole idea coalesce? In other words, did you just contact the center, or how did you get it off the ground?
Well,
Interesting. Well, there was another benefit going on at ISIS around that time. And Scott Woody connected us with the person that was leading that, Andrea Kulish. And she is a Ukrainian American, right? And so we connected with her, and the UNWLA is the group that we are also supporting through our benefit. And she is a member of UNWLA, which is Ukrainian National Women's League of America. And they seem to be doing some real direct contact donations to hospitals in Ukraine. And that felt like this is something we want to stand behind. And we all are looking at this as, what can we do? What's one thing we can do? And it's going to be something that's going to be needed for a long time.
Well,
so
I like how you phrase that too. And it's a great way to look at it. What's one thing we can do? We can't solve everything at one time. But I guess your point is, if we all do one thing, so you contribute the music, people come out and support it and make contributions, we're all doing our own thing to help people, in need. So that's really, really cool. The concert, again, repeat, what's the date on the concert again?
Friday, May 27th. Doors open at 6:30. We'll wrap up about 9 p.m. A part of this is there's music, but there's also a live, not live, it's a silent auction. So that a lot of artists and craftspeople and local businesses have donated items that you can bid on and win. A lot of attractive stuff, a lot of art, and
that what can we do as part of the theme, as we were talking to businesses in Weaverville and out on the skirts. They're all saying, well, this is something I can contribute, and with the silent auction items, which you can find as a connection through the Facebook page about this event, you can actually preview the auction items and bid on them if you can't make it to the event.
Right.
But just the generous donations from people here on Main Street. We have Mangum Pottery, we have Fresh Air, we have salons, we have gift certificates. Along with that, we're also serving refreshments from Well Bread Bakery in Old Europe. They immediately jumped on the opportunity to be involved, the one thing they can continue to do. And to publicize, we've had UPS, Asheville Prince Shop, Penco. They've all come in and helped us with the publicity on this too.
And of course, WPVM.
And of course, WPVM, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Blaine.
And the town of Weaverville has donated the space for us. They've been great. It's a small community here. We know the local government and everything. And we just mentioned this, and first thing they said was, the town of Weaverville has wanted to do something for Ukraine, and this would help out. So,
Right.
And one of the great things too, Al, for the people who haven't been to the center yet, it's just this beautiful new facility, which is a great place to hang out and come to. And so people are in for a treat, I think, if they come to the center. Had you performed at the center yet?
no, it's only been open about a year. There's there are some ideas about developing a music program there, but we haven't obtained enough funding to kind of get that rolling yet. You know, there's some grant applications that we've been looking into and things like that. They do have
Music on the porch.
it might be every other Tuesday or something. There is music on the porch, which is old timey bluegrass kind of stuff, and it's just a free little gathering of musicians, and anyone who wants to come and sit around and listen. It's a great thing to do. You know, all of that information about the center can be found. You can go to the Town of Weaverville website, and you can sign up for email notifications of all the events they have there. So,
And like I said, it's a beautiful facility. For the benefit of folks who don't know where it's located, could you describe where it's located?
so it's on. I think the address is actually Lake Shore.
Yes, Lakeshore Drive.
Lakeshore Drive. So if you're coming north on Merriman Avenue, heading into Weaverville, and you pass the lake on your left, you can see the community center sitting up on the rise above the lake. So turn into Lakeshore Drive at the lake. The community center will then be up on your right. Come up around, what's the street? Not Highland.
It's not Lakeshore, well, Highland,
You make a right to go up to the parking lot.
right.
Once you see
You can see the center from Merriman
Right.
and from the lake.
right, once you see the center, there's parking behind it, and then there's some parking around the lake. There's also a town parking lot below the community center that probably has 40 spaces or 50 spaces in it, and they can park there as well.
So if you find it, you'll be able to park there.
Yeah, well, carpooling's always good. We're
Yeah.
not sure, you know, carpooling's always a good deal anyway.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, we would encourage carpooling if possible.
Okay, and in the remaining time, I think you were nice enough to tell me off the air, you're willing to share with us a second song. If you kind of, Al or Joan, if you'd introduce this one.
Well, this one is dear to us. It's based on a local, well, where we first met. I was living in a house on Edgewood, and that's a street that goes right by UNCA in Asheville. And that's where we fell in love when I was living there. And so this is a song that Al wrote, really. I might have contributed. I sometimes give a little.
John was inspiration.
I was inspiration, right?
Yeah, it's a song about an old house, basically.
Yeah.
And
The name of the song.
the house we lived in was 100 years old, and it's about, it just struck me all the families that might have lived in there. And, you know, we were one of those families. So that's how it started.
And there might be a little heart on a rafter carved up in the ceiling, maybe, I'm not sure. But no, but the name of the song is Edgewood.
Okay.
She was framed that fall of 29 out of Appalachian heart of pine. Though the nation wept, she stood strong and fine, a brand new Edgewood home. With the southern view, the light did stay, and its healing warmth had much to say, as it sheltered them until better days, a brand new Edgewood home. From the porch there, they'd wave at neighbors, counted blossoms, treasured favors, wondered how they'd get through. In the yard, they'd hear squeals and giggles, sneaky peeking, silly quibbles, dreams that had come so true. La da 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 da. When they laid that stone and raised those beams, and they worked worked that plaster free of seams. Could they then have known of the hopes and dreams would fill that Edgewood home? From the porch there they'd wave at neighbors, counted blossoms, treasured favors, wonder how they'd get through. In the yard they'd hear squeals and giggles, sneaky peeking, silly quibbles, dreams that had come so true. Da, 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 da. She was framed that fall of 29, but I knew her in a different time, when a dreamer captured this heart of mine in that old Edgewood home. It was there we started this life so fine, a creaky Edgewood home. Will we ever treasure those tender times when we called Edgewood home?
Very nice. Al wrote that one.
I wrote that one.
Very nice. Al, how many songs have you written, ballpark? Any idea?
I've written about 40 tunes and finished about 4 of them.
Instrumentally,
Yeah.
you finished them.
You know, because I play some jazz stuff, I write instrumental music as well, and I finished a lot more of that kind of work. But you know, the singer-songwriter thing is just taking me when I retire.
Okay.
When you rewire.
When I rewire, I'm gonna finish a lot of music. So
Joan, have you written any songs?
I've only collaborated with Al, really. I think back in when I was 22, 23, I would play around with it. And I wrote some lyrics. I was pretty involved in a folk group at a church at that time. But
Joan's helped out. She's good on lyrics. You know, when I present something to her, or even if I present something instrumental to her that I don't have any lyrics for, she'll kind of give me a sense of what it feels like emotionally to her, and that kind of will give me some ideas. But you know, there's a couple things we've collaborated on lyrics together.
Because again, like, and you'll know the song I'm thinking of, Joan, but whenever I hear Joan sing a song, you know, it just comes alive. What was the one of my favorites with Deep River? It was a Civil War song.
Oh, yes.
What song was that?
Civil War is the name of the song that was written by Sandy Howard and Sharon.
Yeah.
They wrote that song, Civil War.
But
Great.
you're featured in that one, right?
Yeah, I do the high harmony in that, and there was another one. The one you're featured in you might be thinking of Independence Day.
Yeah, I think that's the one. It's
Right.
But Al, I've always loved, you know, hearing you sing. So this is such a treat to get a chance to see you in locally performing with Al and company. So let's just highlight that again too. This is a special benefit to benefit the folks of Ukraine. Very impressed, Al. You were telling me it seems the whole community is coming together to put this on. And so the highlights again, the date of it again is when?
So the date again is Friday, May 27th. Doors open at 6:30. Music will start about 7 and go till about 9 p.m. at the Weaverville Community Center at Lake Louise, 60 Lakeshore Drive in Weaverville, North Carolina. Featuring refreshments, a silent auction, and music in the round by songwriters Chris Rosser, Annie Lally, and Joe Ebel. And Joan and I will be doing some music as well.
Okay.
And
And
while
again,
there's no
I'm sorry, if folks want to get more information, what's the best bet?
So there is a Facebook event page. You could search Facebook for Benefit Concert for Ukraine, Weaverville. That will get you there. That will have all the pertinent information as well. Also around town, we've put a whole bunch of flyers and things. If you're in the Weaverville area, you'll see these things, blue and yellow, hanging up on poles and things like that. Again, there's a silent auction, and there are QR codes on these things, and also in some of the Facebook postings that allow you to point your cell phone at this thing, and you can see the auction items. You can preview the auction items,
Right.
and I think you can even bid on them
You can bid
in
on them.
advance.
And I have to throw out that this couldn't have happened without the help of an amazing team here of, again, like with musicians, when we just brought up the idea, we have people that just came out and said, I want to do something. So we have a great team here that's made it happen. The other thing about there's not a charge at the door, it's also to make it welcoming and have no barriers for anyone who wants to come. This is a community center. We want everyone to come. If you're able to make a donation, that's great, because that's what the silent auction is for, and is what we can do for the UNWLA.
Right, and once again, the beneficiary is the Ukrainian National Women's League of America. They have a website, www.unwla.org. If you can't attend, you can go there and you can contribute to that group for this same purpose. This is a great group. It's been in the U.S. for a long time, supporting the people of Ukraine. But in this particular instance, donations, they're doing things like providing medicine, food, water, generators, and hygiene kits to a lot of the villages that have been shelled, and providing medical equipment as well for people in the field. So it's a very direct source of aid to the people of Ukraine.
Anyway, I'd like to thank the two of you for being my guests, a special edition of the BLAINESWORLD Show. Thanks also for not only putting on this event, but it sounds like it's going to be a big smash, and I wish you well with it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Blaine.
Thank you for spreading the word.
It's been a lot of fun.
Good to be with you.
Anytime.